Hi, this is Potpourri. I just want to tell you that this is a video series to help you decide if raising backyard chickens for egg production is right for you and your family. I'll also discuss all the things you need to consider to raise healthy egg layers. I really hope you enjoy the series. So you finally got the flock you've always wanted. You hand raise them, you have a name for each one, and it gives you great joy when you go outside and they run up to you. They're so excited to see you. Your free ranging has been very successful and you haven't lost a chicken. But wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. Where's Gertrude? And then you only find a pile of feathers. And something like this happened to me. We only free ranged our chickens when I was home. So it was mainly on the weekends I did it. I'm working in the garden or whatever. And I just loved it when they run up to me. It was so much fun. And their antics also, digging and playing with each other. I really enjoyed the free ranging. But one time when we were getting the flock ready to go inside, one wasn't there. And it was the one that always was a laggard. Never followed the rest of the flock. Had to be, good 15 feet behind everybody else. Well, we actually put out flyers thinking that she might have flown off and she was lost. A week later, with free ranging on the weekend, I'm actually in the garden and I hear this noise, and by the time I came out, it was too late. 2 of my hens were dead, and my rooster, my lovely, lovely white silky rooster, guarded them definitely with his life. There was just a big pile of his silky feathers there. But by following a trail of feathers, it was determined that it was probably a family of 3 foxes, and they each grabbed a chicken and ran off in the opposite direction. Well, we learned the hard way that maybe free ranging wasn't for us. I no longer free range my flock. I have a nice spacious run for them that is built like a fortress, and they seem to enjoy it. I hope they're happy. I sure wish I could free range them, but I just don't have a number of chickens that I can deal with loss. So let's talk a little bit about all the predators out there who want to eat your chickens. Now, one of the biggest predators are bears. And if you live in bear country, you really have to fortify your coop. And if you are, quote, free ranging, you may want to use electric fence because bears are brutes and can just claw their way into a coop. They're after the chicken feed, but once they're in there, they might eat your chicks, they might eat your chickens. So make sure you have a coop fortress to prevent bears. Now in some areas there's also cougars, or what we call mountain lions. Again, not where I live, but if it is where you live, you want to be careful. They especially like to stalk their prey. So if you're free ranging, they might be hiding behind a bush, watching your flock for just that right moment when they can pounce on a chicken and have their dinner. Believe it or not, mountain lions can jump straight up 15 feet high. So remember that when you're designing your coop and run. Now wolves and coyotes have a lot of the similar traits. Here we have coyotes, but we don't have wolves. They prefer to break the chicken's neck with a real vicious bite, but they'll grab whatever they can from a fleeing chicken to catch it. And usually what they do is just carry the chicken off to eat it. They don't eat it on the spot. And if you think your run and coop is safe because you use chicken wire, think again. Coyotes and wolves can chew right through that chicken wire and get to your precious flock. Now, foxes are great hunters. As you know, that was what took out my flock. And they are very, very intelligent. They will spend a lot of time scouting out the area, seeing when you're not around and what is the best moment to strike. And they do it very, very quickly with precision. And you want to suspect foxes if you lose 2 or less chickens while free ranging and there's little blood and only a pile of feathers left. Now your foxes, your coyotes, and your wolves all are great diggers, so they like to dig under your coop. So we'll talk about some preventive measures later on that. Another thing you could think about is bobcats. We do have them around here, but I have never seen one. They're very skilled hunters also, with sharp teeth and retractable claws. And one bobcat can take out a flock of chickens very, very quickly. It is said that they can kill 10 per hour. Now, one thing that kind of intimidates bobcats are night lights. And usually they are striking at night. Okay, raccoons. They're the master criminals in this. They can break in to just about anything. It's amazing the dexterity they have in their fingers. So you need to have raccoon-proof latches and wire covering your coop no more than a ½ inch in the openings. Again, they can tear through chicken wire, they can dig under the coop, and they can climb very well to the roof area, which maybe they'll find an entrance into your coop. If one gets in your coop, they will often kill multiple birds. I've seen some videos where they've killed a whole flock. If they get to them, the bodies will usually be left where they were killed rather than carried away. And they don't usually eat the whole bird. They just eat the contents of the bird's crops and occasionally some of the chest. They are awful, awful destructive. They also can try to pull your chicken through the holes in your coop. So let's say you do have chicken wire and they get the chicken's head through, then they'll just chomp off the head. These raccoons are extremely smart and extremely dangerous to your chicken. Possums have very sharp claws, and they prefer really smaller prey, maybe your bantam chickens, your chicks and eggs. They rarely also consume the whole bird. They prefer the breast, abdomen, and crop. They aren't the smartest animal, but they are very determined. Skunks can also prey on your chickens, and of course, they're nocturnal, so they can come into your coop. And you know, chickens get almost comatose at night when they sleep, so they're easy picking for predators. But skunks are usually after your eggs and maybe baby chicks, but they can also kill bigger birds. And of course, they can also spray and leave a nasty, nasty smell in your coop. Ooh, now minks and weasels. They can squeeze through incredibly small holes, and they can attack anytime, day or night. And minks seem to do it for sport. You know, they can just kill every chicken in your pen. It's kind of like a game to them, I think. Now, it's said that weasels also prefer to suck the blood of the prey animal. They're kind of like animal vampires, rather than consume large amounts of the flesh. If they do kill in your coop, you usually find the chickens in a pile. Might be bites and on the back of the head and neck, or maybe only the head or neck is eaten or bitten off. And they could bite around the vent and remove intestines. And minks and weasels and fisher martins all can leave a discernible odor, a musky, wild odor. So that is another sign of what attacked your chickens. Now, owls are amazing birds. I mean, to watch them in flight and how they're so far up and can see their prey and get down and carry it up is kind of amazing, but not if it's one of your hens. Now, most places it's illegal to harm or kill a bird of prey, which includes hawks and owls and falcons and eagles. If it is an owl or a hawk, they usually only get 1 chicken per day. They're not going to kill off your whole flock at once, but they could come back day after day. And an owl, again, is more apt to prey in after dusk and night and early morning. So make sure your chickens are locked up in their coop when it gets dark. So we're talking about owls, but there's also chicken hawk. I think we all remember the one cartoon with the Texas Longhorn chicken and the small hawk. And really, the chicken hawks aren't extraordinarily big. It can be a Cooper hawk or a red-tailed hawk. And they have the same patterns as the owl. So of course, they're swooping down from above. So most people, if you even have a fenced-in free-range area, you haven't put something over the top of it. So you might want to consider bird netting or something to protect your flock if you have a problem with birds of prey. You know, I've had 3 cats. I found them when I did let my chickens free range, actually laying right next to the chicken, doing this dust bath. Neither the chicken nor the cat seem to be afraid of each other. I never had any problem with them. But other people have, and it could be it's more of a feral cat also. Now, I'm extremely careful with my cats when they're chicks or not full size. I would not trust any of my cats with a chick. But be careful of your neighbor's cat also. And especially if you have bantam hens as opposed to standard full-size hens. Now, in some areas of the United States, snakes are a real problem. Again, here, not so much. But you can have king snakes, milk snakes, rat snakes, black snakes, and chicken snakes. And those are the ones that are most often found in coops. Now, they're especially a pest for eggs and chicks. It's said that marigolds and lemongrass around your coop can deter them. You can also use something, a powder called Snake Shield, and it's supposed to elicit a neurological reaction from snakes and repel them. And then there are also snake traps. If you're going to use some type of trap, make sure you check it daily. Okay, to me, number one, along with raccoons, are dogs. It could be yours or your neighbor's dog. They're the most likely killer of your chickens. I've had neighbor dogs kill a rabbit in their cage, and it was terrible because they went from underneath, actually bit off the paws of the rabbit, bled to death. It was very sad. Anyway, your neighbor's dogs can be vicious. Your own dog could. So make sure to protect your flock from yours and your neighbor's dogs if you're not sure that they are actually a guard dog. Well, I decided not to free range, but you might want to free range. If so, there's some things that you could do to make it safer for your flock. One of the things is to have bushes or barrels or something laid out where they roam, so in case an overhead predator comes, they can sneak in there quick and be protected. Another thing to consider is having some perimeter fencing, like electric fencing, to keep out some of the other predators. But it's entirely up to you. A lot of people free range and just figure they know they're going to occasionally lose someone in their flock, and that's okay with them. So whether you free range or not is up to you. I have to mention this because many people talk about how great chickens in the garden are. I don't think they're very great in a growing garden. Believe me, they will pull up your little pea starts and all of your other little plants coming up and eat them. And they will go in your beds and dig and put any of your soil or toppings all over your paths. And they will leave poop on the paths, not in your beds. So think carefully before you allow chickens into your garden. Now, one of the things you can consider if you're free ranging is to have a guard animal. There are certain breeds of dogs that are better as a guard dog. We used to have a Great Pyrenees mountain dog, but that was before we had chickens. Great dog and great at guarding various animals, but they have to be taught to guard chickens. So that's a possibility. And you can also, believe it or not, use a donkey or an alpaca. They make great guard animals too. So if you have the space and you're free ranging, that is another tip. Electric fencing is great for keeping out a lot of animals, including bears. Okay, enough on free ranging. Let's talk about our run and our coop. If you consider having a run for your chickens and keeping them inside instead of free ranging, I suggest you have a roof. It might only be a tarp, but something to keep the elements out, but also to keep critters out. Now here I have a metal roof, and it works great, but you want to have something to protect from predators that fly from above, or ones that can crawl up and jump in. I can't say this enough. I see a lot of people using chicken wire for the coop. It is more inexpensive, but if you live in an area where you have to worry about predators, and I think just all of us, no matter where we live, have to worry about them. Chicken wire is not the best. Chicken wire is to keep chickens in, not to keep predators out. Instead, you want to use hardware cloth. So this is the hardware cloth we have around the entire run, and we have kept the old dog run fencing also. And it's usually the 1/2 or 1/4 inch, because that will even keep out small predators. When you're installing that hardware cloth, it's a good idea to make what they call a predator apron. And that is, it's down and then it levels out like an L, right, on the ground. And maybe for about 12 inches, 15 inches, and then bury that a couple of inches, and that will stop a lot of digging animals, such as coyotes and foxes and raccoons. Now, other people dig a trench, which seems to be a little bit harder, all the way around their coop and run, and maybe for about anywhere from 1 foot to 2 feet deep, and put the cloth down in that, and that will also protect your coop. Now, something you can also do, which is what I did with my garden, is install hardware cloth on the bottom all the way through, so no animal can dig up and into your run. That is a more expensive option, however. And you will see here, I have my run on a concrete slab. It just turned out that this was a dog run that came with the house, and we decided to convert it to chicken coop and chicken run instead. Now, you want to regularly inspect the perimeter of your run and coop to make sure there aren't any spaces, even really small ones, that something can get through. If so, you want to fill those in with foam or rocks or something to prevent predators from just getting through that hole and in. You'd be surprised what a small hole a weasel can get into. So let's talk about your coop. You know, most of our predators hunt in the evening hours, at night, and in the very early morning hours because they have darkness as a cover. So one of the things you can do is install a motion light. We have one here that's a solar light. It works great. And anytime anyone gets close, be it a person or a predator, that light comes on, and that can scare a predator. There are also something called fox lights, and they have a red emission, and you can place those at various places around your coop, and predators can think that they have the eyes of prey, and it spooks them out. So that's another thing to try, is fox lights. Now, if you think you're having trouble, put a game camera up and see what different animals come to inspect your coop and run at night. I think you will be surprised. Now, once it was bright day, I was right outside the house and I hear the chickens making all kinds of racket. And I thought, what the heck's going on? So I walk here, and what do I see? It's a red fox looking in the coop. It couldn't get in, but it sure wanted to. Because I have what I hope, I really sincerely hope, is a chicken fortress. Something else you want to do is maybe elevate your coop above the ground, and that's good so certain predators and snakes cannot get into your coop easily. And the other thing you want to do is make sure that if you have doors, there isn't a gap after you put the latch on. Because believe it or not, just a small gap, animals can pull on it and still get in. So make sure that your doors fit tightly. And the other big thing to consider is your latches. You have to have predator-proof latches. And when I'm talking predator-proof, most of this is for raccoons who are really dexterous. So I use the spring-loaded ones. Some people use carabiners. Some even use padlocks. But make sure you have a lock that a raccoon cannot easily get into. So this is a spring latch. It's for my nest box. Just pull up and out. And we got a couple eggs. You still could lose a chicken even if you think you're doing everything right. These predators are incredibly crafty and spend a lot of time trying to figure how to break in. But if you do lose a hen or hens, try to investigate what predator got them and how it got in so you can prevent it from happening again. Well, I hope you enjoyed this 6th in the series. There will be one more. Number 7 is going to cover raising your chickens in cold weather.